Hi, I'm Victor Margiotta, and this is The Community Show. Thanks for watching. My guest is Lauren Ashley Orlando. Actually, we know a lot of the same people and grew up in the same area, went to the same high school. I was just looking at her bio page, and all of a sudden I'm starstruck. So excited to have her on. I've been trying to do like a series on women in the community to come on and talk about, their careers and maybe try to inspire young women to follow their dreams and, be proactive and achieve their goals. So, Lauren, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So, I'll talk a little bit about your family.
My family is huge.
Yeah.
There's 6 of us all together. It's a blended family,
Okay.
Kind of like the Brady Bunch. My dad had 3 boys, my mom had 2 girls, and then they got together and had me.
Right. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty
We're a
cool.
rambunctious bunch.
So you grew up right here in Montrose?
Yep. All of us went to Hen Hud.
Yeah. I graduated in '83.
Okay.
So I was more into sports, and I did love the arts, and I actually took a class with Mr. Lawrence, painting, and drawing, which was awesome.
Okay.
And got to meet Linda Fisher, who was my lab mate, and she actually was just here a couple of weeks ago. I haven't seen her in a while, so that was nice.
Yeah.
But she has one of the artist lofts in Peekskill, and she's been there quite a while. So talk about the fact that you were into the arts.
Yeah, actually, it was Carol Arucci that had the Movapa program at Blue Mountain Middle School.
Wow.
That's really what inspired me. She was actually one of the first teachers, I think, that understood me as a human being and really pushed me to be funny and loud and embrace that side of me, as opposed to being, sit down, be quiet, Yeah, she really inspired me and pushed me to sing louder than everybody else, We're still friends. I talk to her on a regular basis. Yeah, she's still doing a lot for the community. She has a couple of music schools, performing arts schools in, I think, Croton and Ossining or Briarcliff. Yeah, she's doing really well.
So how did you decide what college to go to?
Eek. That was a bit of a challenge. I didn't do so well auditioning. I wasn't prepared as well as I should have been. Apparently, they talked about me at the Hart School. I auditioned and bombed. And I started crying in the middle of my audition because I couldn't remember my lines for my monologue. And I was horrified. And I was going to audition at Penn State next. And my mom drove me, and we drove up, and I was like, it's a big school in the middle of nowhere. I'm not feeling it. Forget it. I was like, I want to go to Marymount, Manhattan, because I had visited the campus, and it's in Manhattan. And I was just thinking that if I'm going to make it in New York, I should just be in New York. And I loved that it was in the middle of the hustle and bustle of the city. So that's kind of what helped me decide, was just when I walked in the campus, I knew that's where I was meant to go.
Right.
I got into the school alone on academics. They had filled up their auditions already to get into the musical theater program, which was probably a godsend because I wasn't prepared just yet.
Okay.
So I went to the school. I did communications to begin with. And then I studied outside of school with an acting coach and my voice coach, and just studied really, really hard and worked on a couple of pieces. And I got in with flying colors. My professor, I remember Professor Simon, she was head of the musical theater department, and everyone was terrified of her. And I remember being in my audition, and I met my friend Nick, and he was like, "What are you singing?" And I'm like, "I'm singing this. What are you singing?" And we were like shaking in our boots, and I got up to perform. And he was like, "Good luck." And I get up and I sing, and I'm so nervous that I forgot I had a second song prepared. And she didn't even look at me. She just stayed at the table writing, and she was like, "What's your major?" And I was like, communications. And she was like, "Yeah, no more." Like, cross, and then I sat down, and he was like, "I'm pretty sure you just got in." And I was like, "I did, didn't I?" So it was like, it was really nerve-wracking, but I think it was the first time where I was like, okay, I can actually do this. I'm not bad, But it was fun. That was like a nice, affirming moment, I think, in my life. That was like, okay, we can do this as long as you work at it.
So what do you do now about getting nervous? You can't help it, right?
No, you just breathe through it.
Right.
I don't push it away. I just kind of like welcome it and just be like, oh, hey, I see you.
Yeah.
But you need to go take a bench for a little while and let me do my thing. Yeah.
I was in a play at St. Patrick's School. I think it was like 3rd or 4th grade, and I couldn't remember my lines. To this day, I still can't follow a script. I just, How do you remember your lines? How do you?
So there's a technique, and I have this problem too. It's always been a hard thing for me to grasp myself memorizing lines. But there's a technique called sculling the lines. So basically, you repeat your first line out loud over and over and over again until you have it memorized. And then you move on to your second line, and so on and so forth. And you keep going back to the top and repeating it, until you finally get it. So it takes work, it takes time, but it's a muscle. And it gets easier the more and more you do it. So,
while you were at the college, did they have plays that you were in, or?
They did. They did one musical theater show a year. I was in, I think it was my junior or senior year of college that I did Bright Lights, Big City. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, we workshopped it.
Wow. And obviously you sang.
Awesome. Yeah, I was in the ensemble. It was more of an ensemble piece anyway. There was really one role that was like the main role, and it was played by Jason Gote, who's done quite well on Broadway. I think he was Spider-Man. He was in what is it, Paper Mill Playhouse. I think he did Bronx Tale. I think it was. He did that as well. Oh, wow. I believe. Yeah.
So you actually wrote a script.
I did.
And?
Yeah, it's my first feature-length film. It's called Miss Julie. It's about a college student who's trying to find herself, and she meets another woman, Miss Julie, along the way, who's a bit older, who's twice her senior, but also trying to like find her way in the world too. It's a coming-of-age story. But for anyone, anywhere in their life, essentially.
Now, if it comes to fruition, would you want to act in it?
Yes, that's the reason why I wrote it. Right. A friend of mine, her name's Lainey Ventura, she kind of dared me to write it. She was like, "Have you ever written a feature-length film before?" And I said, "No, I've dabbled. I have."
How long did it take?
To be honest, it took me 3 days to probably write majority of it, and then maybe a week or so later, it took me. Yeah, it was. I wrote it from the perspective of, like they say, write what you know. Yeah. So that's kind of what I did. So it was very easy and it flowed. Very well and easy for me because it was something I had already lived through, and knew. So, yeah.
Well, it's funny you mention Bronx Tale because that movie and Rocky, they were both written by the guys that were in the movie. And they were both offered a lot of money to sell the script instead of being in the movie.
Yeah.
So now, would you sell the script? and not be in the movie?
I know it is a tough question because it's like, I have other stuff that I'm writing in the works
Cool.
that I am willing to sell. But I wrote this very much with the understanding and the idea that I was going to play the lead role.
Cool.
Because I wrote the 2 lead parts, one for myself and then one for my friend Lainey. So it's hard. It's hard. If the price is right, though, maybe I would sell.
I hear you. So what was the first job that you were paid in acting?
Actually, that is all thanks to Carol LaRucci.
Okay.
She got me my first professional gig when I was in 7th grade. It was at the Westchester Broadway Dinner Theater.
Wow, I love that place.
They were doing, I know, and they tore it
I
down.
know.
I cried when I saw the newspaper. I was like, no.
I know.
I did a country Christmas carol. It was Scrooge, but with a twist. And she was musical directing.
Wow.
And she came to me after school one day and was like, would you like to be at the Westchester Broadway Dinner Theater in a show? And I was like, yes. So,
That was a great venue. You always pulled in there and had to drive around trying to find the place, you know, because
it was very odd.
Yeah, very strange.
Very strange
But
location.
it was great. You know, you had dinner and a lot of good shows there, and there wasn't a bad seat in the house.
No,
too,
they were all good. It was oh my gosh, my college days are failing me. I forget what that type of theater is called. I can't. My professors would be so disappointed.
Yeah, it's all right.
I can't remember what it's called.
Well, it's like the Paramount in Peekskill. It's the only problem there is it's too big for the small band, but too small for the big band.
Bands, yeah.
And of course, the parking, is kind of
killer. It's a bummer. Yeah.
I was at a show there, and one of the guys was like, I think it was Sinbad, and he's I drove around trying to find a spot. I drove back home and walked here. He said.
Oh my gosh.
It was funny.
Yeah.
Fun. But that's another place there's not a bad seat in the house, but the acoustics there is excellent.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's funny you mentioned the Paramount because there is a theater in my script, Miss Julie, and I'm like, who do I know?
Right, to get in there.
Yeah, so
sure.
I'm like, I might have to use the Paramount and film it in there.
They'll always rent it to you.
Yeah,
so.
I know. Money talks.
That's right.
Money talks.
So you've done commercials.
Yeah, I've done a few commercials. Nothing big. The biggest one that I did was a Zola commercial for like the wedding websites, and it was really fun actually. I played a cake topper, so it was a voiceover. And it was fun, and the audition was really funny because I couldn't move, and I just had to move my mouth and my eyes. So that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun filming that.
Nice.
Yeah, my neck hurt though for a while because I had to like freeze in this position as if the guy was like dipping me, and because it was motion capture.
Yeah.
So but my neck hurt for a little while.
The price you got to pay, right?
Yeah.
So you're a black belt.
Yes.
That's very cool.
Yeah, I'm a 2nd degree black belt.
Wow.
I studied karate or classical Okinawan at Gono-sen in Peekskill.
All right.
Yeah.
Hi, Gono-sen.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. I studied for about 25 years.
Wow.
Yeah, more or less on and off, not straight through. I also studied boxing as well. So I wasn't a sports person per se.
Yeah, right.
In elementary school, middle school, and high school, I did karate. That was my thing, and theater.
That's great. Yeah, but that's a great forum. So now, if you're in an action film, you're all set to do.
I'm ready.
Your,
I'm ready, baby. Bring it on. I've choreographed a few pieces.
Oh, wow.
There's a film called Nobody's Home that just recently came out. I did a scene, I choreographed a very violent scene for that movie. I did some stunt work and choreography for another film called Matthew. There was, it's supposed to insinuate a school shooting in that, so we had high schoolers that were actually, running and doing things, and they wanted somebody to fall. And I was like, let me do it. I don't want a kid, running and, because you do it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
You don't realize, like, once or twice is fine, but that impact starts to really hurt. I had like a bruise that was like out to here on my elbow because I didn't have elbow pads.
Yeah.
And that was my mistake. But I didn't want anybody else doing it. I was like, I'll do it. It's fine. And it was fine because I know how to fall thanks to martial arts.
Right.
But yeah.
So what are some of your favorite movies?
Oof, that's a tough one, Victor.
I know. We grew up watching Star Wars.
Yes,
but,
that's definitely one of my favorites. I love Spielberg films. Huge fan. I like action comedies. Those are probably my favorite types of films to watch. I think also, like, those are the types of films that I would want to be in as well.
Right.
Being a martial artist and then also having a quick-witted, funny side to me. I'm a goofball at heart. Yeah. But I do really like dramatic films as well. I have to say one of my favorite films is What Dreams May Come with Robin Williams. Very deep, dark film, but just the cinematography of that film, and also the whole aesthetic of the film in general. There was so much thought put into the design of it.
Yeah.
Like one of the scenes, they're in a painting. It's fantastic. Whoever thought of it,
Right.
It's someone's idea of what heaven and hell is. It's wild.
Yeah. Well, that Fisher King, I don't know if you saw that. That was with Robin Williams, too.
No, I didn't.
It was pretty wild. Great movie. He was, his wife was shot. They were in a restaurant, and he was traumatized by it. And the guy that told, it was a radio guy that told this guy, why don't you just go shoot these people, And he wound up going into a restaurant and shooting this, Robin Williams' wife.
Right.
And he was, but you'll have to see it.
Okay.
Fisher King, great movie.
Fisher King, okay.
And talk about that comedy drama. Did you see Outlaw Josie Wales?
No, I didn't.
That was with Clint Eastwood.
Okay.
And, just that dry sense of humor, it just...
All right. You're giving me homework now,
I
Victor.
know.
You
You
gotta write these down for me.
So what's in the works now? You're taking acting classes still.
Yes,
which
always.
Never ends.
No, it never ends. Because there's always something new to learn, I feel like. Taking a class right now, it's pretty intense. It's like 2 to 4 times a week, on top of work and the film schedule I'm coming off of now. But it's with different casting directors. It's more of like a business for acting class, so it helps get your website and materials together. I'm still working on Miss Julie. I'm taking another pass at the script.
Okay.
I did just win an honorable mention
All right.
at a film festival.
The First Frame
Yes.
International Film Festival.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, you got to go on the website and look at, you have a website and you have, what else can we go on to look at your work?
The website's probably the best bet. I do
Just
have
type in
IMDb.
Lauren Ashley Orlando.
Yeah. LaurenAshleyOrlando.com is my website. And then if you look up Lauren Orlando on IMDb, I show up there too. There's
Now, I typed in Miss Julie. There's a lot of different Miss Julies. So that wasn't original.
So you have to spell it correctly.
Oh, okay.
So my spelling is MS Julie.
All right.
It's kind of a play on the Strindberg play, Miss Julie, except he spells it MISS Julie.
Yes.
Whereas that's more of an affair of the classes. This is more an affair of older versus younger kind of thing. Yeah.
So would you do Broadway? Is that something that you're...
That was the original goal.
Yeah.
When I was a kid and college, I studied musical theater. I had a callback for Kinky Boots for the national tour. And this was a couple years, probably prior to the pandemic. And it was so nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
I called out of work for, don't tell anybody, but that was the reason why. I called out of work for like 2 or 3 days because I only had, I think, 2 days to memorize 5 songs
gosh.
and a monologue.
Oh my gosh.
I probably had an ulcer the set, you know. It was really fast-paced and it was very nerve-wracking. I went in, did the audition. I think I did okay. But I realized I'm not a fan of the audition process if you're non-union for Broadway. So I kind of shelved that for a little while because I prefer auditioning for film and television. It's the process is a little bit different, especially now since the pandemic has happened. It's more I'm doing a self-tape in the comfort of my own home. I'm doing it somewhat on my timeline,
Sure.
and then I'm sending it in. As opposed to auditioning for Broadway, you're waking up at 5:30 in the morning,
right.
You're doing your hair and your makeup, you're going and standing online outside of the building until the building opens, you know, at maybe 8 a.m. Then you're going inside, you're still waiting online, and you're putting your name on a non-union list in hopes that you even get seen.
Yeah.
So it's a full-time job auditioning for Broadway when you're non-union. It's frustrating. It's a struggle. I don't know how people pay bills doing it every day.
Yeah.
So
And then
yeah.
and then even to be in the play, it's a lot of work, right?
Yeah.
I mean, having to do sometimes 2 shows a day, right?
Yeah. When I took, me and my wife took my parents to see Wicked.
Yeah.
And I remember that week I had read an article about the girl playing Elphaba. And that was always a dream role for me. And I was reading this article and how strenuous it is on your voice that she doesn't talk at all.
Wow.
All day until probably 2 hours prior to curtain. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I talk way too much to not be able to talk all week except for 2 hours before. Like, I'd have to put duct tape on my mouth. Like, there's no way I'd be able to do it. So, you know, and then when we actually saw the show,
Yeah.
I was like, how is this girl going to hit those notes? Because you could hear her struggle and how tired her vocal cords were. And I'm sitting there like gripping my seat, like, is she going to hit that note? Like, it was very uncomfortable for me as an audience
because,
member
right.
to witness that,
Right.
just to know
But, yeah,
what she's going through. And then,
Especially because you know.
yeah. So that's kind of what, yes, that is what gave me the sense that maybe I want to do more film and television and not so much musical theater. I will come back to it because I do miss singing. I post videos here and there of me singing on Instagram. But
Excellent.
yeah, but eventually I'll come back to it. But yeah, for now, I like the film and TV route.
Yeah. We just have to say hi to Aunt Judy.
Yes, Aunt
because
Judy.
we love her very much.
Yeah, and she used to work here
And she worked here.
years ago.
Yeah, we miss her and we love her.
Yes.
So we just want to say hi, Judy.
Hi, Aunt Judy.
She was on my show 20 years ago.
Really?
When I had the career show.
Okay.
She came on as the, you know, what she did. She worked and, you know, raised a family. And she actually did one of her wreaths.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Yeah.
She used to make those, yeah.
But she talked way too fast, and she was nervous, and you know I was running out of questions, and I was like, "All right, slow down."
That's great. That sounds about
yeah,
right. That sounds like Aunt Judy.
I think I might have saved the tape. It's somewhere.
Okay.
But,
I'd like to see that.
I know it was awesome. That's
Yeah.
funny. So we're going full circle here.
Yeah.
But, what else is going on? What is your dream goal right now?
My dream goal, I think my ultimate goal, I want to be like Ryan Reynolds when I grow up. He has his own production company.
Wow.
I'd like to be able to produce films and television stuff that I want to produce and projects that I believe in, and also pick and choose the ones that I want to be in.
Sure.
I think that's a good
Yeah.
that's a
Well,
good
look at
problem to
Ronnie
have.
Howard, right? I
Yeah.
don't think he was in a lot of movies, but he produced a lot of movies, and he was a child actor. And Clint Eastwood,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, he is my all-time favorite,
Yeah.
without a doubt.
All right.
You know, he's done so many. So let's get back to the, not so much giving advice, but what you did. You know, what are some of the things that you struggled with that you had to get through, you know, as far as, you know, just to help young girls that are thinking about maybe doing what you're doing?
Yeah. I think something that's always been said to me that I find so irritating was have a backup. And yes, on one hand, that's a good idea because this industry is so hard to get into. But I feel like it's important to push women, especially that have dreams and goals, keep pushing them towards them, those dreams and those goals, and not to give up. I feel like when you do have that backup, that's kind of being like, yeah, I believe I can do this, but there's still that doubt, you know?
And then that fear of getting stuck in a job
Right.
and not being able to do
Right.
what you really wanted to do.
Exactly.
You know.
If I were to, you know, rework how I went about school and my education, I think I would have had my backup, in a sense, be another position in the industry
Right.
that wasn't acting.
Okay. That's good advice.
One of the things that I kick myself about is not getting a degree, or at least some sort of degree, in producing, in production, in director of photography.
Right.
You know, learning another aspect of it. I think I focused a lot on performance, and I think I would have chosen something else to go along with that, you know, in the industry.
Sure.
Learning a little bit more about producing, the business side of it. You know, because after all, I am a business. I'm supposed to promote myself
Right.
and push myself as a product.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I wish that was something that I would have learned a little bit more about, especially now in today's day and age with Instagram and TikTok and all these other platforms, you know.
Yeah. Right. All right. Just quick, we have 1 minute.
Okay.
You know, I hung out and partied too much, and I wish I didn't. What advice do you have? You know, part of it was I wanted to fit in, you know, and be with the whatever in crowd. You know, what would you say to young girls about trying to stay away from that? Because it could take you down a bad.
Yeah. I would say it's cooler to be on the out crowd.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Okay. And then,
Individuality is I think what makes us cool and
Yeah.
stand out even more. Because how can you stand out in a crowd? You know,
Right.
you don't unless you're
No.
different.
exactly.
And yeah, I think as far as drugs and alcohol
Yeah.
are concerned,
Right. I mean,
they kill brain cells. So.
Yeah, right. So you can't remember your lines.
Yeah, you can't remember your lines, and
And it doesn't put you in a good mood.
yeah, no, it's a catch-22 for sure,
Yeah.
because it feels good in the moment, but the next
Yeah.
day is,
No, I know.
is a doozy.
Well, I tell you, it was a pleasure having you on.
Thank
and
you.
I really appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah.
And we'll do this again.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks. I'm Victor Margiotta. This is The Community Show. Thanks so much for watching. And as I always say, don't complain about what's going on. Get involved. Do something. Thanks.